welcome to Jeff Clean, El Jefe Podcast, AZ. This is going to be another. Today we have a good friend of mine, Jeff Golner. Hello, Jeff. And me and Jeff we met each other in, I don't know, did we ever meet in high school?
No, I think it wasn't until college. It was at university.
Where'd you go to high school?
Went to Camelback.
You're a yeah, God, you're Camelback one. And I was Arcadia guy. We were very close.
Yep.
But we all hang out at different areas back in those days.
But
let's see. Because when I had to see Mary's, what was it, the 7th Street Burger King? Was it 7th Avenue? That was like a big hook and see.
We had a McDonald's. The Camelback people hung out at McDonald's at 16th and Camelback. That was our spot.
Oh, God. Okay.
But
that was like.
Effie, I'll tell you, after we met in college and then we spent enough time at TP, right, to once we, like our breaks from school, we come up to Phoenix. So shortly thereafter, I told my mom, I said something like, yeah, I've been hanging out at the TP. I've gotten to know Jefe. He's, part of the family. And she goes, you don't remember the TP? I'm like, no, not really. She goes, Jeff, we used to go there when you were a little kid. So the TP was on the circuit like Sugar Bowl.
Oh, yes.
And other restaurants. And so, and honestly, God, every time I walk back in there, I try to get something to recollect, like when I was like, 3 feet off the ground. Do I remember coming here? Because I went there. We lived right down the street when I was like in kindergarten, first, second grade. But I don't recall going.
I remember, when you were a kid, you usually had the cheese crisp or bean and cheese burl. Really easy.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of see so many kids grow up.
I can't click on that memory. I can remember the Sugar Bowl and all the family circus, cartoons and whatnot, but I just can't recollect TP, so I'm sorry.
Sugar Bowl's awesome.
Yeah.
I was right next to there the other day. I was at Hula's for happy hour.
Yeah, there you go.
I love that place. Yeah, so we went to school at University of Arizona. Bear down.
Yep, bear down.
And we learned the hatred of ASU. I remember getting out of college, and I just could not stand ASU. Could not stand it.
I'll just bite my lip. I'll bite my tongue.
Yeah, as you got older, it kind of mellows out.
It does. It does.
Yeah. But just meeting up with all the boys, we love to go to the TP. I mean, TP was I could finally drink there. I was like, yes, I'm 21. All right. And me and Billy.
We had some good times there after hours.
Yeah. And we had some good times hanging out in college summers. That was some fun times.
Sure.
I got, who's coming on? Matt Engstrom, remember Gibson's?
Yeah.
Going to see Boogie Nights and Chadwick's and stuff.
I think
we got another.
When Matt opened
up, one of those coming up.
He was Arcadia Tavern, right?
Yeah, he was. He's with them. And he went his own way or something like that.
So Joe Barry and I happened to go in there right when Arcadia Tavern was open, and I promise you, we drank the first beer out of the tap. Matt was tapping him, and he's like, "Here, you guys want the first one?" I'm like, "Sure." Boop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. And I had those little chalices, like those frozen big old deals.
Yeah, that's right. It's exactly like a buffet jumbo.
Yeah, like a jumbo half of the buffet. Like you people from Tucson love that bar.
Exactly.
I was a doorman at the buffet. God, that's scary.
That's scary.
And I remember they tell me, any girls? Let them in. Guard the hell out of the guys.
Those are the orders from above, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Smart, though. Where there's girls, the men will travel.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so we went. God, let's see. Yeah, we had our summers and fun. God, some of them run around. I'm running around in your Jeep. Remember that? And the Sun Club. Remember the Sun Club in Tempe?
Yeah.
That was some cool. We catch some cool bands.
Yeah, we had some good times.
And God, I can't. Is there anything else I'm missing on that stage? Jeez. Well, the stuff that we can't really bring up. Those are some of those stories I just don't want to anymore. They were learning experiences. Well, let's talk about the days when you were with the Diamondbacks in Colorado Rockies. That was kind of cool when I heard you were the Rockies. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's funny. I get to tell this story quite often just because I talk to college kids that are looking, towards their careers. And, in my case, I was about to graduate in May of 93. And honestly, like at the beginning of that year of 93, I was like, I still was really kind of clueless as to what I wanted to do for a career or even a job. And I remember I had this I can kind of recollect, I sat down and I had this internal conversation going, you're about to graduate, you need to figure this out. And I really started to appeal to what I like. really, I was asking my question, well, what do you like? Do something that you like, you'll enjoy. And it's pretty obvious. Of course, all of us want that, but I think we have to kind of dig down a little bit deeper to extract that. And so, all of a sudden it resonated with me that I really love sports. I'm not like that jersey wearing fanatic. I mean, I love and enjoy going to games and stuff. But what I remember was that, oh my God, I realized at an early age, even going back to Suns games at Veterans Memorial Coliseum at the Madhouse, that was a treat, right? It was the only team in town back in the day when we were little single digits, into early double digits. And I recollected that I can name the players to this day that I watched and grew to love, but I also was watching all of the production around it. What was going on, like where the PA announcer was making the announcements from, and figured out all the other guys around him were probably doing the scoreboard treatment, all that stuff. And so that day on the couch, I was like, I've always appreciated the fact there's a human element behind all of that. It just doesn't happen. It takes humans to make those things happen. So with Lickety Split, I'm like, that's it. I'm going to work in sports. And so I literally went down to High Corbett Field because the Rockies had just started their first ever spring training. This is their first year. I can't remember. I knocked on the door and said, you guys need any help? And they were like, yes. They were getting crushed. The phone was ringing off the hook because people from Denver and the state of Colorado were coming in droves. They were coming down for spring training. The ticket window was constant. I mean, constant. It was it was just constant. I can't describe it any better. And then even one morning, and so I got hired, and I don't even think I got paid. I think it was truly one of those internships. Well, you'll build a resume, which is fine and definitely worth doing. And one morning they said, Jeff, can you come on Saturday morning? We need some help building a batting cage. I mean, it was all hands on deck, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it, and it was like I knew this, but it was like one of those like traveling carnivals. And then end of March comes, woof, they're gone. I still had to graduate. Come May, I had to finish things up. I actually had to have major knee surgery, and so it turned out I had a girlfriend. I don't remember if you remember Chrissy Murphy. We were together, and she graduated a semester before I did, and she's from Denver. So it was like these two great things were at the same time. I'm like, well, if I go to Denver, I was planning on going to Denver no matter what. I can still try to hook up the Rockies. And sure enough, that's what happened. I moved up there. I got up there at the end of that first season, so it was a lousy time to be looking for a job because when you're an inaugural franchise, you were just trying to catch your breath after that last pitch was thrown at the end of the season. So they wound up hiring me. I started my first day with the Rockies was the first working day of '94 in January, and it was at Mile High Stadium. They played their first 2 years there, so the second season was going to be beginning in '94 at Mile High. And they had on the north side, they had this box office. There's kind of all their ticket ops came out of there. So that's where I met, and I get walked in and I get introed, and they said, okay, well, here's your spot. Here's where you're going to work. And it was a ticket window. I was working in the box office, and I settled in, and I'm like, oh my God. Internally, I'm like, Jeff, you're the biggest idiot, because I'm sitting there in my window, and all in front of me is nothing but snow. It's January in Denver, and I'm supposed to sell baseball tickets, and certainly a football town, but the baseball team had blown out attendance records in '93. And the expectation was '94. So at first I was like, you're an idiot because there's all this snow on the ground and I'm supposed to be selling baseball tickets. But, I worked my way up. I did my time in the box office, which is a great place to start. I moved up to the front office, moved into Coors Field, and was part of all part of ticketing and ticket operations, which every team needs. Every team needs ticket sales. And so if I'm speaking to, a young college student right now that's contemplating going into sports or wants to work in sports, it's one of the first places I tell them to look, because every team's always going to need someone to operate or sell tickets. It's just a given. And it was funny for us because when we moved into Coors Field, we were selling out every single day, every single game, and people would say, "Gosh, you must not be very busy," thinking that since we're sold out, we're not busy. It was quite the contrary. It was nonstop, and this is back in the analog days, if you will, when you printed tickets. We had a machine that would print in bulk, and then we had another machine that would cut the tickets into the individual ticket we all know. And we would run those machines. We'd turn the machines on at 5 p.m. We'd run them all day, but we'd set them to print when we left. So when we came back, all we had to do was cut and deliver. It was a pretty crazy time. It was fun though, a lot of fun.
It's like good will call and stuff like that.
Maybe, yeah, will call was massive because again, this is
it sounds like a pain in the ass job actually.
It was just part of the thing you had to do. This is before that digital age, right? And not only that, we would sell group tickets, like to schools, churches, whatnot. And so you have to print off 20 tickets, throw them in an envelope, and ship them out. And so that process was nonstop because we had so many tickets to fulfill. So it was definitely opposite of what people thought. We were definitely very busy.
So you kind of like moved up a little, gradually moved up.
Yeah, I did. I moved. I mean, nothing too high. I just, I definitely elevated myself from, say, the box office to the front office in that I was, working in the ticketing department and doing operations, group sales. There was a time I was doing, season tickets where we were I still have my hard hat from Coors Field because we were taking people, season ticket holders on tours, showing them their same site inside of Coors Field where it replicated off a Mile High. And there, it was off season in front of that season 3, the first one in Coors Field, and we were still required to wear a hard hat when we went into the bowl. So it was cool. They gave us personalized hard hats, and I still have mine.
It's a beautiful place to see a game, though. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, if you're out there, if you haven't been there, it's worth the time.
Yeah, Coors Field ranks up.
It's a party zone out there, all around that stadium. It's just crazy.
Yeah, the rock pile, the dollar seats, and then they've pivoted. They've definitely changed some of their areas where they're more like, mingling areas and drink beer and just kind of watch from above. But yeah, it is one of my top 5, and it's probably because I worked there and had a lot to do with its not a lot to do with it, but I was there for, if you will, when it first opened up, and so it definitely has a special place. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that San Francisco.
Yes.
Yep. Those are my 2. I hate Chavez Ravine. No offense, Dodger fans.
Yeah. It just, you can't compare it certainly to Pac Bell. I lose track.
That's so nice.
San Francisco's is truly.
But, I mean, outside Coors Stadium, there's so many bars too that you can pregame. It's just great.
Yeah, and post.
Yeah, it's really cool though, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then we went to the D-backs. How'd you get that?
So in my case, I kind of hit that proverbial, I don't know, ceiling. But really for me, tickets is a very left brain type thing, black and white. And I'm a creative guy. I'm really marketing at heart, more creative. So when I kind of realized that, my lifespan, if you will, at Coors, or I'm sorry, with the Rockies was, they kind of saw me as a ticketing person and nothing more. It was like, maybe it's time for me to evolve. And so I moved back to Phoenix. That's where I'm from. Family was thrilled that I came back. And it was the purpose was to hook up with the Diamondbacks. In between there, I worked for the Fall League, Arizona Fall League, which is fantastic. Gave me another set of new skills. It was basically literally back in the day they called my position the general manager. I was the general manager of the Phoenix Desert Dogs over at Phoenix Community, and ran the ops for that. And so that was everything from making sure a bus was there for a road game to our home games, making sure we had ticket sellers and concession stands were up and running and program selling was happening and the game started on time. All those functions I oversaw. And, the sad but true part is, we'd only have maybe 100 fans come a game. It was nothing, but you still had to kind of go through the exercise. If it was 10, 100 or 10,000 fans, you still had to, be operating with the expectation that all those functions, had to be up and running. So it was a good exercise for me. And then all the while I was plugging away, pinging the Diamondbacks, as thousands literally were. And eventually and finally they called. And I started off in a part-time promotional way, I was basically doing grassroots marketing all over the state. We called it we actually partnered with the anti-tobacco campaign that was really prevalent back in the day. And tumor-causing, tea-staining, smelly, puking habit. If everyone remembers that campaign. Obviously, I haven't, because that was 1996.
I was still chewing back then.
It was 97, and we ran around with the Ash Kicker, which was this kind of a mobile display of the horrors of tobacco use, and we kind of doubled up with them. And I'd be at a county fair next to the pig pen, and we'd have our inflatable speed pitch inflatable out there. And eventually Sean Payton came to work with us, and he's stuck with Diamondbacks to this day, which is awesome, our mutual friend.
Yeah, he's doing really good with them.
Doing great. And so, it was a great opportunity for me too. And eventually when they started to interview and began the hiring process for the full-time jobs for the '98 season, the inaugural season. I was lucky enough to have that opportunity, and I got the game operations position.
Yeah, that's so like a game operations. Like you set up all the minutes before everything starts, or something, down to the seconds, or
Yeah,
national anthem, and
yeah, exactly. So in my role, which was very marketing driven and marketing heavy, it was where we activated our sponsors that had in-game inventory, right? So they might have a feature that ran during the game. Back in the day, it was America West Airlines, and so every time we hit a home run, we'd activate their feature. America West Airlines presents How Far Did It Fly? So our scoreboards and our announcements was all staged and ready for that, and I was the one that was kind of calling those shots and making sure that we knew everything. Everything that happened every half inning was pre-programmed to a certain degree, but certainly the things that would happen during the game, produced by our baseball team, we were also responsive to and responsible for, as well as the giveaways at the gates. I'm looking around here.
I'm looking behind you because I remember seeing a bunch in your office when I visit you.
Yeah,
your office was full of all that.
That's a huge wall of bobbleheads and giveaways that we used to do back in the day, and yours truly did all the design of all the bobbleheads to the, whether it be a hat, duffel bag, you name it. That ran through my department as well. So we really basically, oversight has a large staff, thank goodness, and we all pulled and rode the same way. And the goal was to entertain the fan. Honest to God, just make them have a great experience and want to come back to Bank One Ballpark, now Chase Field.
Yeah, well, I got to bring up a couple of your bosses that I knew real well too, Jerry Colangelo and Rich Dozier.
Yep.
Those guys were. You'd walk in a room and those dudes would just light it up.
They Jerry on down obviously dictated how, if you will, I was raised in the business world. And what I can tell you is that even though I had that little smidgen of experience, maybe coming off the fall league, and then my ticketing experience with the Rockies, where I was very observant and very curious as to other functions outside of ticketing occurred. When they hired me for the job in '98 to be game ops, my actual title was marketing coordinator - game operations. Eventually, I worked my way up to senior director of game operations. But when I got hired as the marketing coordinator, I never held that job. I was able to convey what I knew about it and how I would be responsible in leading, that effort. But at the end of the day, a lot of us had jobs that we'd never had before. And that's really a function of Jerry, in that a family-run style of operating. No one was ever over my shoulder, looking over my back. Rather, it was, Jeff, we trust you to get the job done. We also trust that when you don't know something, you're going to come and ask and get the information you need to do your job. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. So we had a lot of pressure because, no doubt, inaugural season has so much things you just don't know. No one knows. And so we tried things that hadn't been tried before. We broke from typical tradition, but the baseline was always there for us, and we were able to really, we were really successful. And I think the success is that all of those folks from that first year, we hold a special bond. Everyone's a phone call away, and it's like you can pick up with somebody that you used to work with, like you missed no time together. And then certainly when 2001 happened, talk about really solidifying that, that bond. When you win a World Series and the effort that goes into that, Doze is great, and his entire family. They've been holding every 5 years we have an anniversary, and obviously there's one this year for 20-year anniversary. The only thing we don't know is that Doze has moved out of the house he was able to really host all of us, including the team. So we don't know where we're going to be come fall when we get to celebrate.
It's always a good time with that guy and Gary.
And Gary. So it's awesome. And again, I can't speak enough to the fact that when you go through an experience like that, it's just like like I said, there's social media keeps you connected, but it's pretty amazing what happens. And even with some of the players, I still stay in touch with because of the special time and moments that we got to go through. Then it was unreal.
Yeah. You know what? Like you said, it was like, I coached at Calback for like 16, 17 years.
Yep.
When you run through that, it's almost like you're a team.
Yeah.
Everybody's going together, and you're going into, I like to say, we went to battle. I loved you because I always went to battle with you.
Yep.
And it just builds up just huge, huge, huge. You never forget each other.
One of my best friends today, he was the controller. He was on the finance, and accounting team. But what happened was he was super busy. I was crazy. We were both very busy. Lots of us were. I was in there a lot during the weekends. Larry and I probably, we wouldn't necessarily intermingle a whole lot, two kind of different worlds. But because we were in there so much, we formed an amazing, friendship that is even stronger today. And so he actually even left before the World Series year. Yet, you just build these relationships because you're in the trenches for so long together. It's pretty awesome.
It's a cool friendship, total trust.
Special.
Yeah, man. We used to because of the TP. I was running the TP those days, and we ended up having one behind the ballpark.
Yep.
And I don't. That's as much as I want to get into that. But Dozier and Colangelo would come in the TP all the time.
Oh,
and we would just take care of those guys.
I steered so much traffic that way. We'd come over there all the time. It was great.
And he would come in. It was like USA basketball gear. I'm like, oh my god, that's the coolest.
Yeah. Remember, I'd come over in those little go-karts we had for in-game.
Oh yeah.
Like it was like the Baxter's.
I would give you some food. I'm like, come over, dude. I got some pearls for you. And we ended up doing the visitors' locker room with, God, I forget his name.
Roger Riley, maybe, or
Roger Riley.
That was.
I would remember he'd be calling us for
Bob Doty.
Bob Doty. Mm-hmm. Roger Riley would be calling, and I could see him where I'm talking to him, and he's on the back of the bench talking. I'm like, oh my god, he's talking to us, and we're on TV.
He's placing an order for cheese enchiladas. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, no problem. Let's see, and then we got to do a lot of your production, like Dennis Lamb and your main guy in the truck.
Oh yeah, sure.
Those guys were great guys. Dennis Lamb was with the Suns for years.
Yep.
On the microphone on the floor.
It's one of those things. Like Dennis is a great example. And other guys like that. If you're just not good people, you're not going to stick around. And good people just they stick around, and that's what's great.
I like your story though, because if you really want to get into something, put your face in front of them and show them I want to do this.
Yeah.
I'm willing to start from the bottom up with you, whatever you need.
Doze doesn't remember this, and this is almost embarrassing, but I don't mind now at this age. But when I was with the Rockies, my boss arranged. I was coming home to Phoenix for family, hoo-ha or something, just a quick visit. And so I started intimating with the Rockies that I was interested in coming home. And so my boss at that time actually set up an informal informational interview with Rich. And this is back when the team was HQ'd over at the APS towers at Arizona Center. So I went down there. And you probably heard this statement. It's out there. It's like, your goal isn't to reach the finals. Your goal isn't to reach the Super Bowl. Your goal is to win. Yeah. Your goal is to win the finals. Well, my goal at that time was to get the interview. I just want to get the interview. So I show up to Doze's office, and I had not prepared. I didn't. It was awkward because I was ill prepared. I didn't have any questions. I had very scant information I was trying to get out of him, but I just was really ill prepared. And I remember walking out of there going, "Way to go! You just totally blew an opportunity." Granted, he was saying, they probably weren't hiring anybody at the time, and that maybe that diffused me a little bit. But I do recall that's definitely something I've shared with, again, the college student. Get the interview, get in front of who you want, but be prepared for that opportunity. Otherwise, it might be all for naught. You blew it, and I definitely blew it. It just, there's no way he would ever recollected that I had sat in front of him even after I got the job. I was not.
Well, maybe your character kind of grabbed him too. You never know.
I was not memorable. I was pretty intimidated. I definitely remember. I got there and I just was not prepared. Lousy.
Those guys are intimidating. They're successful businessmen. It's like meeting.
I just wasn't.
It's like meeting Artie Moreno. You're like, oh, hey, this guy's got, whoa.
He was. Even when Artie was on our minority, and we'd have these owner and sponsor clinics, and Artie be all dressed from head to toe. In Diamondbacks gear, he was the nicest guy. Super, very pleasant and easy to deal with, and there was no ego. He was just a really great guy to work with.
Always a smile, always look you in the eye and shake your hand. Just a good guy.
Yeah. Very well.
And then when we went to let's go with the World Series. That was so cool, man. When we win that World Series, well, first we go into New York and we get our butts kicked. I think we lost the first two games, didn't we?
Well, you got to go back. So obviously we win the first two games. So we head there up 2-0. And I can tell you a whole slew of stories, but I had to go to Major League Baseball offices I went to the road game. So I was not in the traveling party, and I was working quite a bit because even though we're up 2-0, and I think my visit to the MLB offices, if I remember right, was after we lost the first game in New York. So we're up 2-1, and the first game was one of those. It was super cold. Pitchers duel. I think it was a 2-1 loss. Clemens versus Schilling, if I remember correctly. It was just one of those games. And okay, all right, great. We'll come back tomorrow. And it was 3 games there, right? So all we had to do is win 2 in New York, and we were champs. Meanwhile, MLB is telling me, okay, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, and we don't want you to do this, we want you to do that. I'm like, wait, what? Like, they literally were planning Game 7. They're telling me all the things they wanted to happen in Game 7. I'm like, there's not going to be a Game 7. Why am I mean, if I'm going to make any plans for when we come home, let's make Game 6 feel like Game 7, because that could very well be the last game. It's almost like they knew this, right? They didn't. So, for an example, Jefe, a lot of people don't know this. So they're telling me, Jeff, we want you to coordinate a flyover, but only schedule one for Game 7. Don't bother with Game 6. And I'm thinking to myself, that's crazy. Luke Air Force Base is ready to go. I'm in touch with them. They'll support both games. And they literally said, nah, we don't want it for Game 6. Oh, my God. So I walk out of their office. So in the hallway, I'm talking to my counterpart, or I'm sorry, my contact with Luke. His name is Squirt. They all have nicknames. He was a small little guy, but he was an F-16 pilot himself. He was my POC on this, point of contact. So he says, I start talking, and he goes, hey, I want to tell you what we got going. I go, I got to tell you. He goes, no, hear me out. He goes, I got 4 F-16s for Game 6, and I'm about to tell him, you got to cancel those because I can't use them. And then he goes, no, but hold on. I got a B-1 for Game 7. I go, what's that? I didn't know what it was. He goes, that's the stealth bomber. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So I walked back into the MLB offices and said, hey, we're all set for Game 7. And I didn't tell him anything about Game 6. So fast forward, we lose all 3 games in New York. We return to Arizona down 2-3. Awful. And we have 4 F-16s set for Game 6 when clearly they said they didn't want to fly over. And I said they insisted. You know, it was like I almost surprised MLB. I said, hey, there'll be a flyover tonight in about 20 minutes. Like, what? And I said, don't worry, we've got one for tomorrow too. Okay.
Was that for the production of it and all that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I coordinated all of that. And so it was just funny how they were saying no, they didn't want to fly over for Game 6 because they thought there would be a Game 7. And they were right, but we got them for both. And then the bomber the next day was just extraordinary. So
yeah, Game 6, we beat the crap out of them.
Let me tell you, that felt, and it's so hard to put into words, but like the relief of that and just dominating the way we did after the abuse we got in New York, and the abuse being from the fans, the abuse from Frank Sinatra, because they play New York after every win, and we had it hit 3 nights in a row. It was very painful. I do not like that song. I'm sorry. Just don't.
Yeah. It is a song, but yeah. See, I was hooked up with the Yankees because they used our back banquet room as their little, like, Cashman was in there and all his head guys.
No kidding.
And Game 7, that was going to be their little party spot right there.
Very
I was like a little. I mean, I'm so glad we won, but that would have been kind of cool, you know. But I'm glad we won. But I would do caterings for them, and like Scottsdale, they're all staying in Scottsdale, and I'd walk into the little room, and those dudes would be quiet because they're going over strategy.
Sure.
It's like I walked in with a microphone to get it or something. I'm like, Jesus, guy, I'm just here to drop some food off, you know. And they gave me tickets to Game 7. I'm sitting with the Rockets family, his daughter, his wife, and the kids.
Nice.
And I'm like, this is just awesome.
Oh, I bet.
I look back 2 rows behind me. There's a good buddy we know. I'm not going to give his name. But he's just drunk as hell, screaming, hey, Happy! I'm like, he's escorted out of there.
when I walked onto the field, maybe about an hour before first pitch, my MLB counterpart says, hey, the strangest thing happened. I said, what's that? He goes, I never got rid of these 4 tickets. I go, well, I can name that in one phone call. And so I grabbed the tickets and I called Joe Barry, Vic, and a couple other guys got to sit upstairs right behind home plate on the upper deck. But they were thrilled.
I love that seat.
Thrilled. And they got in the game. No cost.
Yeah, I was with all the Yankee wives and stuff. And I was like, okay, watch what you say. Because it was just me and Billy Latin.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, watch what we're saying. You know, we're just going to drink casual.
Yep.
And, God, what was it? The 8th inning. This is how stupid we were. That 9th inning, going into the 9th, we were down.
Yeah.
Remember that we're down? I'm like, I can't take this. So we were walking out of the stadium.
You're crazy.
And then when Gonzo hits that hit, we watched it from a big old projection TV by the
On the plaza?
the 8-story parking lot right there.
Oh, on the plaza.
We
Yeah.
saw it on there. Yeah, we're like, ah, and everybody was screaming and honking. It was amazing experience. Amazing.
Oh, I can't believe you walked out.
I know. To this day, well, look who I was sitting with too. I don't want to go in their face. Take it there, Rockets, Mom. But that was just an unbelievable experience. I don't think we even closed that night at the restaurant.
We went up at High Tops, right? That was called High Tops on the plaza. And so here's what happened with me. I had to ran on the field like everybody else. In fact, that photo is like right there, and you can see me in a suit running across the field for the
That is so cool.
For the trophy ceremony. So after that, then I went to the clubhouse. In fact, Doze was one of the first guys I saw, and he happened to have a full bottle of champagne, which he unleashed on me, which was phenomenal. And then I partied in the clubhouse for a little while, and then I think I went up to my office and I just like broke down. It was just so exhilarating, exhausting, and I was just covered. And so then there was a party in the center field area. So by the time I got out there, though, it was like everything had moved from there. Everyone's at High Tops. So I go out the center field exit, like the north side of the stadium, and I'm expecting just throngs of people. And I thought for sure when I turned the corner, the plaza would just be a crazy mess. Well, what had happened was I just missed this, but police locked arm in arm, swept the entire area of everybody, allowing for the players and their families to leave the stadium and go into High Tops. And the party continued. It was
wow, that's kind of cool. Huh?
Yeah. It was really weird because it was so quiet, and yet I was hearing how it was like there was all this chaos out there, and I didn't
it was so loud.
Yep, crazy.
Yeah, that was amazing. And even the next day when they did the celebration of the trophy, I can't believe how many people that brought in.
Oh.
What was that? The next day they think they just showed off the trophy at the stadium or something like that.
Well, the parade happened in a couple days.
Yeah,
yeah, and I never actually did the parade, because the parade wound up back at the stadium, and we had everybody in the stadium for celebration. So I was in charge of all that. So I wasn't on the parade route so much.
Good to get a day off.
I was very busy. We had to build that all out and give the governor her opportunity. All that was all a stage, the whole bit. It was a lot of fun. It was great. That was the end cap. It was great.
And after the Diamondbacks, you kind of went into Fiesta Bowl committee.
Well, yeah, Fiesta Bowl committee. I'm a volunteer, so I've been a Yellow Jacket committee member since 04, 05, and I'm still active. I'm still part of the program, and a lot of fun. I was I've done a little bit of everything. Obviously, the game ops part and staging and live stuff that happens on the field is one of the things I did quite a bit. I don't do that much anymore. Train staff and train volunteers to help in those roles. I was the committee chairman, so I oversaw the entire committee in 2017. Lose track of time now.
Yeah.
Really at the bottom line is that's just our committee of like 125 individuals is out there selling tickets, selling sponsorships, participating in all of our different events, including the games. But that we're fundraising. When we're selling tickets, it's basically fundraising. We fundraised over $3 million my committee chairman year. So extremely proud of that. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. Obviously that's what it's all about, because all that money goes right back into our state, into nonprofits to do what they do. And I'm very proud of that. We had a really great, successful year. So, so I left the Diamondbacks after the 05 season. After 8 seasons of game production, I produced almost not quite 700 baseball games, and I picked the wrong sport for sure. No, I'm kidding. You have 81 home games. I mean, if I got to select what sport to work in, I probably would have picked basketball. And obviously, the obvious choice is football because it's just less games. But I've never produced a basketball game. I've produced football, baseball, obviously, and soccer. And so a lot of those opportunities have come after I left the Diamondbacks. I started an agency called Agency G, kind of after my nickname, right? And we've been still going strong. We'll be 16 years strong in November. And we kind of do 2 things. One is we're a marketing communications firm for businesses that just need that, but yet don't need somebody to sit in that chair 40 hours a week. We're just a good substitute to that. And we've definitely lost clients because they've grown. And then they required somebody to be on full-time staff, and that's awesome. That's great success. We don't mind ever losing a client that way. And then the other side is events. So I still get hired to produce events. Come July well, not quite next month, but July 24th, the Gold Cup is coming back to Phoenix, and we'll hold 2 soccer matches over at State Farm Stadium, and yours truly will be kind of managing the whole thing, from making sure the hotels are good to go for the team staying there, airport arrivals, security, ground transportation, training sites if we use them. It's usually too hot. And then the matches themselves on one day, July 24th. So we get hired for those types of events, and I get to be at the forefront of those and hire staff and make those types of events happen. It's been weird the last year, certainly during the pandemic. That's kind of gotten a little bit thin, but we've figured out ways to do it, aside from that. So, yeah, that's pretty much. And so, I've been doing that for 16 years and super proud of.
What's some of the nonprofit kind of sporting deals that you kind of like?
Say one more time. I'm sorry.
Any of those nonprofits out there that deal with sports?
For a while we had the local Pop Warner was one of our clients, where we were just trying to help them get more profiles so they could speak to parents to get their kids signed up. And not only that, they had a big issue, and still do, right, with concussions and making sure it's as safe as possible for kids to play. So we've helped with them. They're no longer a client right now. We kind of help them hopefully perpetuate. Other nonprofits, Sean Payton, we've mentioned him before, is doing some really cool stuff using sports as his catalyst through opportunity through baseball. And now he's got this new one called Playmakers, which is maybe less sports, but it's just really about, soft skills, life skills, and making these kids ready for, the next stages of their lives at a young age. You can never start.
He's definitely a pusher on grades, athlete, which is, I love that.
Yeah.
And the way that guy talks is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'll get you going. He'll get you fired.
He looks like he should have been a third base coach.
If you're having a bad day, right? There you go. Yeah. Sean's great.
And Anytown Leadership Program. Tell me about that one.
Yeah. So Anytown, Jefe, we're back in our high school days. Anytown, even before that, it was started in the 50s. It's been around since then. This is a social justice youth leadership program, tried and true program that certainly has evolved over time. But it's a week-long camp that's primarily held up in Prescott, so we can get out of the heat. And this is not a bow and arrow camp. This is kind of a heart and soul camp, and we celebrate people's differences and do our best for purposes of inclusion and celebrate diversity and all those things. And really what it does is it perpetuates these teens to be leaders in their communities, show acceptance and understanding of those that are different from all different categories. And so it's a life-altering experience. A lot of kids, I did it as a high schooler. Back in my day, when I was in high school, I had to apply. I had only 2 kids out of every high school got selected. It was an honor. Your name was put in the yearbook with the photo, et cetera. I went back to maybe it was like my 20-year high school reunion, and I'm kind of getting the stink eye from this gal. And I remember her. I'm like, why is Shelly giving me the stink eye? So I finally approached her, and I said, what's up? I feel like you're kind of giving me a dirty look. She goes, I'm still mad at you. What do you mean you're still mad at me? She goes, you took my spot at Anytown. I really wanted to go. I'm like, wow. No idea that was the case. So I've been a board member, 2 different stints. And most recently, I'm the board chair of the current organization called Anytown Leadership Program. And we're running those week-long camps. We'll have one this summer, next month. We had 2 planned last summer, but obviously that got canceled because of COVID. And I would really encourage people to take a look at anytownleadershipcamp.org. We're also even doing work in work. We're actually taking some of that teen programming and twisting it or adjusting it so that it works for the workforce. Because unfortunately, 1 year ago today, 1 year ago and 1 day ago, when the George Floyd incident happened and his death, it really, really brought to the surface the issues that are in our society around, bigotry and the racism issues. And what happened with Anytown was our phone started to ring. We were getting calls from HR departments, from companies saying, you know what, we need to practice what we want to preach, and we need some help. We need the tools to help our employees with understanding their fellow coworker and accepting them. and being, making this a more equitable place to work. So it's pretty surprising on one hand, yet at the same time, you're like, you're right. If none of these folks have these tools, then they really don't know where to start from. And so we've been helping that. We've been hired by corporate entities to nonprofits to even school districts where they really want to train their teaching staffs to be able to accept this student that comes into that classroom that maybe it hasn't been accepted yet and needs to be, because everyone should really be treated the same. So it's been good work. I was on the phone. That's why I was about 10 minutes late with you, Jefe, on this podcast. I took a call from a really sweet friend of mine who understands what I've been doing, and said he literally wanted to fund 2 kids to go from the Peoria High School district, and I had to take that call, obviously. And
it's a good phone call, right on.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're rounding that up right now, and we're going to change 50 lives this summer. Sounds really small. Those kids themselves will start changing lives when they come back, and there's some outstanding kids that, and sometimes the best camp is the most diverse camp. And so sometimes people ask, well, what kind of kids are you looking for? And we're looking for everybody. I often describe it, we want the student body president to the kid that might have got himself in trouble, that might be on probation. So from P to P and everybody in between, from the president to the probation kid, and every size and color, bring it on, because that makes for the best camp. And we have 25 people that go up and run this camp. They don't get a nickel. They go up there and they volunteer. They take time off of work because they're dedicated to what it does and how the impact happens.
That is pretty impressive. Especially coaching at Camelback, I see the diversity of Native American, Black, and Mexican. And these kids are taught at home.
Yeah.
So if there's any anger about racism, they show it.
No one's born a bigot.
Yeah.
No one's born a bigot. You're not born.
No. And
so you're right. You're right. It's unfortunate.
It all starts from the what goes on at home. Or I see so many kids that didn't want to leave, that they don't want to go home because they literally have like 15 people living with them in a 3-bedroom house and stuff.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because Sean, going back to Sean, I guess he was on vacation about a month or 2 ago, and he rode by Camelback High School's field, and it's a disaster. It looks awful. The field was so bad that the team was playing on the practice field. Their games were being played on the practice field. The netting along Campbell came down, so it was unsafe, etc. So I go out there to help them out. Some others came out, and I preached a little bit about Anytown, and sure enough, we're sending at least one of the players, because it turned out his mom was there. And his mom was like, I went to Anytown. She lit up like a Christmas tree, so excited. And so we're sending him to camp. We're helping with some scholarships there too.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of Diamondback deals at our field, helping us out and stuff like that. Remember, what was the catchers? Tuffy Rhodes, was it, or something like that? Tuffy Rhodes? Was it Tuffy Rhodes?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came out and talked to the kids. Quite a few would come out and talk to the kids. So it was really. It's not even so much baseball. It was like a learning classroom, man. It was every day was to teach them.
Exactly. Yep. Well, the district did some repairs to all the football fields. Everyone got turf, but
they needed that.
But the baseball fields have been. And not only that, Coach Gertson left, so he retired. And the issue there, quite honestly, is there's not a really good leadership there. And they had a freshman on the varsity team. They had a freshman catcher, as an example.
Yeah, I haven't. I stepped away. I haven't really looked back, because I didn't like the way the AD. Like the system, how they would not help us to teach the kids. So I kind of had a bad way out, but I do not miss any part of it. I loved every bit of it.
Sure.
But yeah, it just it was very frustrating. You got kids that never played Little League, so you're lucky to get 2 or 3 wins, a year.
Yeah.
And here last year we got like 7 wins, so that was a huge deal for us to turn around. We were one step away from making the playoffs, so that would have been huge. But those towns, I'll drop some links for Sean's deal too as well in here.
Yeah, for sure.
He definitely deserves some promo on that.
Yep.
And Anytown, I'll put the org on there. I love that. That's so cool. And then what you used to do some like golf, soccer tournaments too, isn't it?
That's what I was mentioning before. Yeah, Gold Cup's coming back in July, so I'll be at the helm then again, and this will be my 4th substantial soccer tournament that's come here. Copa America back in 2016 was the first one. very World Cup-esque. Pretty amazing, for sure.
Yes, that was a cool feeling because I was running our restaurant behind the stadium, and holy smokes, it was jamming.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, our restaurant would be killed for about 2 hours, and we're dead. But it was for that 2 hours is madness.
Exactly.
Um. Okay, so we got you with STEM sports. Tell me something about STEM
Yeah.
sports.
Yeah, that's really what's occupying my time right now more than anything else. So back in 2017, STEM Sports was one of our clients on the agency side. And shortly after kind of getting our hands dirty and learning more about it, which I always loved it from the outside looking in, but now that we were inside of it, I really liked it. And so long story short, I acquired it outright from the owner, and I've owned it 100% since basically the start of 2018. And we're making some hay. So STEM Sports is a K-8 supplemental curriculum company. We sell to schools, after-school programs, and camps all over the country. And we're also starting to work internationally as there's really a really big fever for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And with that, we are really we're using sports as the real-life application. We're teaching kids all about sciences, but we're making it really more real and more tangible because they get to play. And if a fourth or fifth grade student is having trouble with numbers for some reason, maybe the math isn't clicking, numeracy is not clicking, it happens around sports. And we get to use sports to activate that. So if kids have to figure out, if they have struggle, I'll give you an example. So if a teacher walks up in front of the class and he or she says, okay, today we're going to do division. The classroom for the most part is probably going to go, kind of have some dread. No one really enjoys this one-dimensional thing called division. Next thing you know, you got fractions and decimal points and all these things. But if the teacher did something totally different and said, okay, here's what we're going to do today. Today, we're going to grab that bag of basketballs. We're going to the basketball court. We're all going to shoot. And everyone's going to partner up, and everyone's going to take 10 shots, and you're going to mark your makes and misses of your partner. And when you're done, you're going to come back inside, and I'm going to give you a worksheet. Everyone's going to get to figure out their field goal percentage, just like LeBron James has, just like Devin Booker of the Suns has, and Steph Curry. Everyone has a field goal percentage. You're going to get one too. What's that called at the end of the day? Division. So it's a little bit of a disguised and stealth manner in which we kind of work the curriculum, but kids love it, and they're engaged, and the relationship between teacher and student is, it jumps up because they're willing participants, because they're playing. Kids look at it as play, and it is play, but there's a lot of learning that goes into that. So we're having some great success. We're pretty unique, and we're in 49 states so far, Jefe. We're Rhode Island. We're hoping to adopt here really soon. We can call it 50, and we've also been doing some work overseas, which we're really proud of too. So
wow.
There's lots of room for growth, and then that's really what we do in the schools. And soon we're actually going to be providing a subscription program where kids or a parent can order that for their kid, and every month for a handful of months they'll receive their own kit with a ball and science equipment they need to do a lesson at home, and perpetuate that learning even when they're away from the classroom or the camp or the after-school program.
So, like, say I'm a teacher and I come across that, and I'm like, wow, this will definitely engage the kids.
Yep.
I would just go to STEMsports.com, or is it?
STEMsports.com. We sell direct. We have several other distributors that sell our products, and it's been great. And if there's a barometer for we got to hand it to us this past year, like a lot of industries did when schools closed. That obviously shuttered a lot of opportunities for us.
Oh yeah.
But it's coming back, and it feels good because that means that the barometer, if you will, of pandemic lessening and school coming back in the fall. Obviously, Jefe, you know that all too well. Is good. It's great news that this is hopefully going back in our rearview mirror and getting further distance from it. And schools are starting to order. We're about to have our best month ever, and we're really, really proud of that.
It's good to see them back in school. I'll tell you that.
100%. That's where they need to be. And there's a lot. There's a lot of learning loss, and there's a lot of
Yes.
kids at it. There's going to be pandemic echo. I don't know if you've heard that expression, but what's the reverberation of this? Kids have not been very active lately. There's going to be an obesity issue with kids, which means diabetes and other issues that come of that. So we're out of the woods. We're out of the woods, but there's still some obstacles in front of certainly some kids and others for sure.
Yeah, the diabetes still is definitely an issue that you really don't think about, but when if you're coaching kids around high school, you see it. Especially when they don't drink water, man. It's just sodas.
Yeah.
That just gets you there.
No sugar. Reduce the sugar.
Yes. Gatorade Light.
There you go.
But yeah, that should be. Rolling on about 50 minutes. That should be perfect for us right today.
That's awesome.
Maybe
Always
we
help.
can. On my YouTube video, I'm going to put out. I'll have all the links and stuff you can get that we talked about today. And I definitely say check out the STEM. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I saw the video on the YouTube. It was really impressive.
Really proud of it.
You got me excited.
Yep. We've had students, hear about it. I had a niece that was in 7th grade a couple years back, and she overheard her teacher saying how she wished she had a way to use sports to teach kids. And she's like, well, my uncle's got this company called STEM Sports. So students get involved in it happening, to the teachers, obviously, and principals and folks at district and on down the line. So we're really happy and proud. And it's our mission really to help. I could have used this when I was a kid. I can't learn from a textbook. I even still have trouble keeping my nose in a book. And if I was told to learn through a textbook, which I had to back in those grades, I struggled. I really did. And so when you can learn in a hands-on method, it works not only for the kids that learn that way, but even the kids that can learn in a textbook, they're certainly capable of learning hands-on. So this is for every kid. It really works for everybody.
Yeah, especially the engagement. You're like, oh, you know what? Math isn't that bad. All right, this is cool.
Right. Yep.
And it wakes you up.
And you don't have to be athletic to do our stuff either. It doesn't mean you have to be the jock. So
Yeah.
it really serves everybody. You can be the kid that really likes science a lot, and you'll find really cool engagement. And certainly the kids that love sports, just the same.
Exactly. Very proud of you, brother. That's cool.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. Definitely.
Yeah, and I know how you are. Once you take on something, you're gonna get it done. It's a good thing
Right.
about you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great having you on the show today, buddy.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for people to hear what you got to say and all this other stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jefe. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. I will see you again, brother.
See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.